Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Fear Alchemist. I am your host, Ben Harris. I've been looking forward to recording this episode for a few weeks now. And today we are going to talk about the 10 lessons, the 10 things that I learned from my most successful month that I had in January of 2023. But before we begin, I must encourage you to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe, follow on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Make sure you leave a review if you haven't. It takes 5 seconds and it really helps the show get noticed and recommended to people who are on the same path as you, looking for answers, who are trying to break free from fear and anxiety. So it would mean the world if you could take a minute to subscribe, to leave a review. And if you're feeling extra loving by the end of this episode, I'd love if you send this to a friend who is struggling with something similar in their business or life. All right, y'all, let's get into this. So, last month, I'm recording this in February, um, and in January 2023, I had my most successful month. And that's in money, that's in numbers, and it's in so much more than that. Like, it's not just successful in profit, but in every way. It's in how I did it, why I did it, how I felt during it. Because, I've done a lot of launches in the past. This is my most successful. And, you can have a quote unquote successful month on paper, but it can still feel pretty crappy. It's like, it feels stressful. It doesn't feel fulfilling. It feels like you're burned out. I'm sure right? Whether it's a 9 to 5 job, like you can have all the things on paper, but there's usually a feeling, a sense of fulfillment or meaning and love missing from it. But the difference with this month is that it was in complete alignment. All of the things, how I felt, right? How I did it, the money, all the things. And it's never felt so good. And I want to tell you how it happened and what I learned from it. Because success is how it feels and not just how it looks. All right, let's get into these lessons. So, number one is, and this is possibly the biggest one. I just, I wanted to put it for number one because this is definitely the major, major, major key. And if you take anything from this, this is going to be the one to really, really remember. Okay, so is I learned that 99% is still holding back. Like, I'm talking about commitment. Like, if you are 99% committed, you are still holding back a lot. 99% commitment means you're still really not committed. 99% committed is basically the same thing as 1% commitment. You're still not all in. You still have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You are hedging for failure. You're actually like planning for failure, for disappointment, for rejection, instead of planning for success. You're still holding so much back. And this is the biggest thing that I learned in this. Like, because, like, guys, it was crazy. Like, I finally made a commitment to myself. Like, I've realized in the past 2 years of my life that in my business and other areas of my life too, but specifically in my coaching business, and just, it's not just it, I just felt like, oh, like I was hitting against this brick wall. I kept hitting a wall, and I felt like no matter how hard I tried, like I still wasn't doing the thing. And what I realized is like I wasn't fully committed. Like I was still holding back. And if you're wondering, well, how do I know if I'm holding back? If you're asking that question, then you're not all in. You haven't given your full heart. And I know that's what was being asked of me in this experience was like I could feel it. Like I know as I was being prepared for this moment, and the world, the universe, God was asking me to give my full heart, like to really give fully. And it's such a different feeling. And I remember the moment, it was right when I launched the early registration period. And I committed to myself. I'm like, Ben, I can't remember if I was in like meditation or, pacing back and forth. There was definitely many moments of like meditation and in like workouts and just self motivating and journaling, all the things where I was just like, okay, it's time to go all in. Like, I'm giving all of me, no matter what the result is. Like, regardless of the result, I'm going to show up every single day, no matter who signs up, no matter how many people say no or how many rejections or whatever. Like, whatever the thing is I'm scared of happening. What are all the what ifs that could pop up, right? all the nervousness, all the hesitation. I'm like, no, like I am committing to give it my all. And that's when it changed. Like I had basically done everything before this point, like I would do the posts. I worked with coaches and mentors. I had marketing. Like it would appear as if I was doing everything that I should be doing. But the reason why it wasn't working from my perspective and from my experience is that I wasn't all in. And that's fear, is like we are bracing for disappointment, for failure, for something bad to happen, for something to go wrong, to lose money, like taking this risk. And like seriously, like there's not many moments, guys, where I can say like it was like my life truly changed. Like when people talk about spiritual awakenings and stuff, like I've always been pretty in tune my whole life. And of course there's been moments, of like quitting my job and rebranding my business and stuff like that, like big moments. This was one of those big moments, but it's even bigger than all of those, which is crazy to say, right? Like bigger than quitting your job or bigger than rebranding my business into the fear guy. It was the biggest. And it felt like how I'm describing it is it felt like I'm not sure if you guys have ever used a glow stick, but when you first get a glow stick, you have to break it. You have to snap it in order for it to work, right? And then you shake it and it glows. That's what I felt like. I literally felt like something snapped in me in the best way. Like I broke something, right? Like I broke the old patterning and I just glowed and I'm shining. And I'm not sure if you might have noticed or felt something different if you follow me on Instagram, because that's where I did most of the, like where I was doing most of like the promoting and showing up. And I'm the most confident that I've ever feel. Like I showed up so powerfully, and it was because I finally just like committed. I gave it my all, and you can't really tell someone how to do that. Like you have to do it for yourself. Even though I coach people through these things and through fear, and I've had coaches and mentors, whatever, it's like I had to decide for myself. I had to finally make a decision, and that's really what it comes down to, right? Is a decision. It's always a choice to go all in and to hold nothing back. There's such a difference, guys, between 99% and 100%. And I snapped. Some people would probably call it like a Kundalini awakening. I felt like I was high on ecstasy for 2.5 days straight. Seriously, it was such alignment with source and the divine. I was just in flow. It was such a cool feeling. And I know it happened because I was in service and in my heart. I was fully immersed and gave everything I had instead of like, okay, well, I'm going to give most of myself, but I'm going to hold just a little back, right? Just in case something bad happens, just in case something goes wrong. And I know you know what that feels like. You might be feeling it right now. And pretty much nothing really changed besides just the energy, besides like my confidence completely changed because of that new commitment. It was 100%, literally nothing held back anymore. Full heart, all in, regardless of the result. And that's the key, regardless of the result. So I just want you to really sit with that point, because that is the key for me. And I believe it's the key for a lot of people, if not most of us or all of us, is that the reason we're not successful as we want to be yet is because we're still holding back. Even if it's just 0.01%, you're not all in yet. So what is preventing you from going all in, and how can you just jump in? How can you fully just give and allow your heart to open and just give it all instead of holding something back? Because if you're holding something back, you might get a version of the success that you want, but it's not going to feel as meaningful and as aligned because you're not, right? Like you will feel like something's missing from it because something is missing from it, right? You are missing from it. Your full heart is missing from it. Your full alignment, your full energy, the true you is missing. Even if it's a somewhat successful launch or product or month or whatever, it will still feel like something is missing because it is. So sit with that one. That's the biggest thing I learned. And that is such a big key for a lot of you. All right. Lesson number 2 is that these offerings, these services, these products, whatever we're doing and creating in any form, in any art or business that we're doing, these offerings are here to transform us too. Um, they're not just for our clients, our students, or our customers. And this is why I love this work so much, because when I launch a program about the one I'm talking about right now, right, it's called Fear Alchemy for Coaches and Creators. And it's all about helping people step into their gifts, into their confidence, removing fear and the obstacles that are keeping them small and hiding and not sharing the real them, and stepping into their business and their gifts and their life in the way that they're meant to. And then, it's a coaching certification on top of that. So the last half, we are diving into how do you coach your people through fear and limiting beliefs. But I launched a program about stepping into your gifts, which means that I'm going to have to do that more than I ever have done before. And that's what happened, what I just mentioned, right? Of like stepping into my gifts and into my power and into my knowing, my confidence, like feeling comfortable being seen in all the ways, good, bad, otherwise. All of these things that we're putting out are forming us. So you guys might already know this, but it's not just like what we're doing for other people. Whenever an idea comes in, right, we're channeling or receiving an idea to create, is yes, it's for other people, which is awesome, right? That we can help that. But it's also going to refine us. It's going to forge us into the person that we're supposed to be so we can lead that container. And it really is like a ceremony. Like the 2 weeks or the 2.5 weeks that I was in the launch period was seriously, if you've ever done plant medicine or psychedelics, it was one of the most powerful ceremonies I've been in. It was crazy. So I've known this before, but it was just such a great reminder. And how cool is it when you're living in your purpose, making a living in your purpose, right? Making money, helping people, and loving what you do all at the same time. What a blessing. And that it's going to, transform us as we transform other people. And that's so cool. All right. Lesson number 3 is it's not what you do, but it's who you are becoming. This is another juicy nugget. It's not about the funnel. It's not about, how to scale. It's not about how often do you post, or what do I say on my reel? How do I make a good reel? How do I, write better, or like whatever thing, like strategy or branding or marketing thing you're trying to do more of or be better at. Those things are still important, of course, but you can have the best marketing or branding in the world. But if you aren't owning who you are, it won't be successful. And like I mentioned earlier, even if it is successful, it still won't feel the same because you're not being you. You know what I mean? Like, so it won't feel successful even if it is. And I was doing a podcast with my friend, Anna Grace, who her episode will come out later in a few weeks after this episode. And she mentioned that she was hiding for 2 years. Like she was hiding who she was, and she was hiding her gifts for 2 years. And she had quote unquote success. Like she had money, she earned hundreds of thousands of dollars, she had notoriety, she had a following on Instagram, but it wasn't her most aligned success. And because she was still hiding who she was. And that feels off. Like your spirit knows, your soul knows that something is off. So even if you have success, it's not really success. You know what I mean? So yes, marketing and branding, of course, matters, right? Like you need to have both. It's not just I do the thing and people appear. It's, I mean, it's that like, but it's not more important than who you are. That's the best branding you can have, is being fully, wholly, and 100% yourself. And I experienced that during this launch, that it's not what I do, but it's who I am and my energy, my frequency that matters the most. All right, lesson number 4 is that no one is coming to save me. Man, I forgot how many juicy lessons I have in here because I wrote these notes a while ago, and this one goes deep. um, but I realized how much I was still playing a victim in the past really year now, or 6 to 8 months now, but specifically during this launch and during January, I realized I was still waiting for someone to save me, meaning like I was waiting for a big podcast, like to me be on a podcast or to get a big name on my podcast or a big Instagram live, or maybe, I was like, okay, like this one course or this one offering, or this, I kept saying like, this will be the thing, right? Like this will be the thing that finally makes it big. This will finally be the thing that I get all my success and I won't have to, work as hard anymore. So instead of focusing on building and growing a sustainable business, I was looking to win the lottery. And so I'm calling this like a lottery mindset, right? If like, and I'm like, if you are feeling like you just keep waiting for like this is gonna be it. This is gonna be it. Like, okay, like this is the one thing. This is the one thing that's gonna do it, guys. There's nothing wrong with that, because I feel like for me personally, it helped me keep moving and like to get to the next step and to get like, I kept trying, because I kept believing that I'm like, okay, this is gonna be the thing, guys. Like, I'm finally gonna make it big. But it wasn't. It's like, yeah, I might have had bigger successes and definitely bigger failures than others, but like that mindset I just know wasn't serving me, because I was still coming from like a, yeah, just like a less empowered version of myself, for lack of a better word, victim, you know? And why I'm saying victim is because I wasn't owning, like I was expecting someone to save me. I was expecting something outside of myself to do the work or to be the reason for my success instead of me, right? I was, so if you are depending or relying on collaborations in any sense to be your savior, to be your bulk reason for your success, your source of success, then it's revealing to you that you fully don't believe in yourself. And I can speak from personal experience. So there's nothing wrong with collaborations, obviously, but you got to come from a place of like, you are whole, kind of like a relationship, right? Is a codependent relationship is where two people who need saving or who feel needy or who feel incomplete without themselves or like on their own, and then they're expecting a relationship to fix that for them. It's the same thing. Or it's like you have to come into a collaboration like knowing that you're the shit and like you have something just as much to offer as this other person does, and also really like realizing like, yes, they are doing you a favor or helping you out and helping promote your offering, course, service, podcast, whatever. And another metaphor that I thought of was like in baseball, I kept hitting for home runs, right? I was kept swinging and swinging and swinging, but I want to hit some base hits too, just hit it first base, get a single, hit it, get a double, like load up the bases. I don't have to keep just swinging and trying to get a home run every time. Like it's helpful to just get some base hits and build that sustainability. And that's really what I'm focusing on this year is the building, the consistency, the sustainability, the nurturing, instead of just like showing up. This is another way how I knew it was my shadow my shadow showing was I kept expecting not only a big collaboration, but one offering to finally make it big so I didn't have to work anymore. Meaning, okay, so my Fear Alchemy course is, it's a self-guided online course. And part of the time I was telling myself, okay, this is just going to be so successful. I'm not going to have to really do anything anymore. Is that I can just sit back and watch it just, sell hundreds of courses a month and I can just chill. And that obviously sounds awesome. And that's the game plan. And I'm working towards that. But if I have that mindset, to just completely want to switch off after I do something, then yes, it's part of my personality, but really it's revealing to us like we're still coming from a victim mentality of like we're expecting something to save us, right? We're waiting for the big break. Nothing's wrong with the big break. But if we're relying and depending on it, then that's where it's unhelpful. And I want to share a story with you guys. This is a vulnerable one, but I feel like it will provide a lot of context for you. And this is when I realized that no collaboration was going to do it for me, that I had to do it for myself, is when I did an Instagram live with my friend, Dr. Nicole Pera, um, also known as the holistic psychologist. And I did an Instagram live with her, and my my intention before that was like, oh man, like I'm going to sell at least 100, 200 courses, like not that that's the main thing, but like she has, 5, 6 million followers. And if I get a few thousand followers from it, which I did, I think I got like 2 or 3 thousand followers from it. And so I thought for sure I'd get at least 100 people to sign up. And no one signed up. And that hit me because I was like, damn, like I can have the biggest cosign in the world, but nothing's going to do it if I don't do it for myself. I have to be coming from a powerful, confident, grounded place within. Um, so that just be a lesson for you guys. And I'm super glad I did it. And I'm grateful for that collaboration. Um, but I have to come from my own sovereign place before all that can happen. Okay. Let's go to lesson number 5, which is that I'm not meant to do business in the usual/old way. So all of the launches, all of the offers and projects weren't successful in my past because I was doing it in a way that was out of alignment for me. So, and I know a lot of you guys might relate to this. Like if you guys are feeling like you are doing all the right things, you've done courses, you've done masterminds, you've watched YouTube videos, you've signed up for free things, paid things. You're trying to do all the things that people tell you to do it. You set up a funnel or you post this amount of times a day or whatever. And if it's still not working for you, yes, part of it might be go back to my first point about not being all in, but also part of it might be that it's not that way isn't meant for you, meaning that's an old way or a forceful way or an out of alignment way. So it's just not in alignment for you, and it's not supposed to be successful. Like that rejection is redirecting you into a way of like, hey, you're learning from this. So I know it's frustrating when something isn't successful as you want it to be, obviously, but that is where you are learning so much from it, right? Of like, am I out of alignment? Am I not? Is the universe protecting me from it from being successful? I feel like that could be a beautiful new perspective and reframe that you have of maybe it's not succeeding because I'm doing it out of um not misalignment, and so I'm being protected because if this were successful, then I'd keep doing it in this way, and then it would be a hard lesson for me to learn down the road because I still wouldn't be happy. I could have the money, the numbers, the followers, whatever, but it wouldn't be in alignment, so I'd still feel empty inside. So maybe it's not working because it's not supposed to work in the way that you're doing it. So ask yourself if it's coming from a completely aligned place or if you're trying to force something. Because we all have a unique success code. It doesn't matter how I do it or how someone else does it or what you learn, right? Is like you're going to have to figure out your way. So if something's not working, maybe that's not your strategy. That doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just could mean that it's not aligned for you. Like that's not the way for you. And no matter who you are, how smart you are in marketing or how you show up or how many followers you have, how much, how little, whatever, is like you're going to have to go through lots of trial and error to figure out what works for you. And so that's what I learned, right? Is this way that a lot of people tell you to do things. It didn't work for me. And I tried so long to try and make it work for me. And I'm glad because I learned, how to do it my way. And I'm still learning how to do it my way. But that's just a little nugget for you. All right. Quick break before we go to number 6 is I want to tell you about the wait list for the next coaching certification. This is for the program that I've been talking about this entire time, the thing that changed my life and is changing so many other lives as I'm speaking. Like we're in the middle of it right now. We've had a few calls together and it is incredible. These people are experiencing breakthroughs. And I also want to be super clear that they are also experiencing lots of fear, right? They're experiencing a lot of discomfort because whenever you say yes to a transformation, it's going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be things coming up that you may not have even realized. It's going to ask of you to let go of things that you may not realize that you needed to let go of. So yes, these are powerful breakthroughs, but lots of death too, right? Like that's what fear is for. Like fear is trying to prevent you from dying. but you need to die and let go of the old ideas, the old you, the old identities, the old fears. They got to die so you can be reborn into who you were truly meant to be. And so if you want to be part of the next round of, breaking through your own fears and barriers and obstacles that are holding you back from sharing your gift and your message with the world, then get on the wait list. I'm thinking I will probably launch it in September of this year of 2023. This launch is definitely going to be bigger than this last one. The hype, the momentum is already building. I can feel it in my soul and my bones. Um, so get on the wait list. It's in the show notes and the description. It's a coaching certification. So in the second half of the program, I take you through the process of how you can help your clients, of how you can help your students break through their own fears and limiting beliefs. So you'll learn how to do it on your own, for yourself, in your own life, in your own business. And then you will learn how to do that with your people too, in your business. You could, even if it's just your kids, you could be a school teacher, you could be a social worker, you could be a coach, a health coach, a fitness trainer, anything where you are leading people. It is going to be so helpful because like everyone struggles with fear. Like everyone feels anxiety, everyone feels stress, everyone is overwhelmed or stuck in some way. So this program teaches you how to really help people get to the root of their fear, not just give them quick fixes, not just motivate them, but actually hold space for them, give you the tools of what to say, when to say it, how to say it, and how to read their energy, how to read their body language, and then truly gently guide them through long lasting, like a lifetime of breakthroughs. So if you're interested in that, check out the link in the description. This is definitely the most fun I've ever had. Anything I've ever done, this is the most fun thing that I've done. And partially why that is because it is the most aligned. Like I've showed up in my gifts. I'm showing up in my power, in my confidence. And then the group is receiving that same power and confidence. And we're all in the same powerful energy and just bouncing off each other and just having so many cool ideas and breakthroughs. And another great point of it too is the community, that it's not just, signing up and you take an online course. It's you're getting to know people. You are really getting to know the heart of people. You're watching people share their deepest, darkest secrets sometimes, the thing that they've been hiding and their vulnerabilities. And you get to do the same. You get to let people see you, and you get to see people, and we get to love each other and hold space for each other. So there is an early registration discount for the people who sign up in the first few days when I announce it. So make sure you get on the wait list so you can be one of the first people to sign up so you can get that discount. All right, let's get to lesson number 6, which is don't force or convince people to buy. And this is going to be, it's going to be so difficult, especially when you're new in your business. You don't have to be new in anything, right? But if you're a new coach or anything, any leader, even if you just have a sales job, it can be so tempting to try and convince or force people to buy from you, and be overly pushy. And I've definitely done that before. But I want to share this lesson with you because it's been really, really big for me of how the success has felt to me. So yes, you want to nurture and follow up with people, right? I'm not telling you to bypass or to avoid selling or to avoid prompting or nudging people or following up with people. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying not to overreach out of scarcity. So don't waste your time trying to sell people. And guys, I can tell you I've wasted a lot of time trying to sell people. So much time, so much energy. It's sucked a lot of happiness out of me too. And we hear a lot like don't take no for an answer, but I'm going to tell you take no for an answer. It's going to save you a lot of time and energy. Let people come to you. Like again, yes, nurture, follow up, engage, nurture, have conversations, build trust and connections with your community and your audience. But don't try and convince anyone. Don't try it. Like people, you will know if they were interested because they're engaging with you. Like if they're ignoring you or they're ghosting you, yes, that's their own fear showing up, ironically. but or they might not just be interested right now, even if it's the best thing for them right now, even if you know it could help change their life. Your job isn't to try to convince them or to force them, because it takes away, like it robs them of that ownership and the transformation of saying yes for themselves. Like they have to, that's the transaction, like the paying for the thing, the signing up for the thing, no matter how big or small the investment is I've seen it in my own clients and courses and everything, is that, and retreats, is that that is definitely the most important part of it, is because that's that leap that everyone has to take, of going over the edge of saying enough is enough. I'm worth it. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going back to my old life. I'm here it is. And so the transaction is the transformation, right? Like the investment is not just money. Like it is a big thing, obviously, right? We feel a lot of discomfort when we're spending large amounts of money, but it's not about the money. It's about what the money represents. And the money often represents, value. It represents worthiness. It represents change to these people, not to these people, to all of us, right? In whatever context, is that when we invest in something, we are saying that we are ready to change. We are ready to let go of our old ways. And it's really important for people to own that process, to go through that process. And if you try and convince or sell people, one, that's just not a fun way to do things. And in my experience, it's not fun. And if you don't want to do that, then, you know, try this way of, and like, I guess just let me tell you, like when I first started coaching and I had my first sales calls, I remember this was a few years ago. And, I did what everyone tells you to do. You have people sign up for a free discovery call. And I didn't sign up. I didn't sign anyone in the first few days because I wasn't making them aware of their pain. I had someone listen to my calls and coach me. And that's what they pointed out, is that I was solving too much of their problem before they worked with me. So they didn't feel like they had a problem anymore because I solved it for them on the sales call. But I started to sign people when I really hit their pain points hard. I didn't overgive, right? I didn't try and solve the problem for them on the call. I focused on the problem more than the solution. But I stopped doing this because I didn't enjoy how it felt. Like I was really, really, really like digging, sticking the pain point, the knife into their side and like twisting it. And it just didn't feel in alignment for me anymore. It felt forced. So later on, I realized that I was, well, actually, this after this, the pendulum kind of swung to the other side, right? Of like, I don't want to do any sales calls or any selling or any following up at all. And I realized that that was just a fear of selling, is that I don't want to be rejected, and I didn't want to go through another disappointing sales call or invest my time or energy into someone and have them say no. So I discovered that I was hiding behind not doing sales calls or engaging with people because of my own fear. I realized that it's not either way, right? Is that you don't have to push them super hard, and you don't have to be in avoidance and not do it at all. It's like there can be an in between, and I know it's different for all of us, but for me it's like that will, back to the first point, right, of when I said I'm giving everything, I'm giving my full heart. And the difference was like, okay, I'm going to show up for people, and like again, I'm not going to overgive, and I'm going to hold my boundaries and know my worth. But at the same time, I'm going to show up for these people and in what they need, instead of just, expecting them to buy right away, like really showing up for these people as a leader. And I feel like this is the mix, right? Of like, you're not forcing or convincing people to buy, is like you will lead them by example. You will invite them with love. And like, yes, there will be some nudges and stuff along the way. But long story short, don't convince people to buy. Take no for an answer. You will save yourself a lot of energy. All right. Number 7 is having a long launch period was really helpful. And you can definitely do, the typical ways that people will tell you to do if that works for you. But for me, again, doing it the way that people have told me to do it wasn't helpful, right? Which is like you have a week of a launch period, and then you just hurry and sell during that launch period. But having a launch period, mine was like 2.5 weeks. it helped ease my nervous system. Like it was nice to spend those 2+ weeks really dropping in and teaching on Instagram. I even might do a longer launch period. I might do a month next time or 3 weeks. It just felt really good to not feel rushed, to not feel forced. I didn't have to feel like I needed to close people right back to the forcing and selling. It was just like I got a chance just to be in it and to flow with it and to learn from it and to talk to people and to engage with people, hear their questions and then address them on Instagram and their content instead of just like feeling like I had to have it all figured out in a week and talk about everything in a week, right? It just feels really like stressed out. And so I didn't feel rushed to get having people signed up. I could focus on the content and communicate what the program is, adjust my messaging, answer questions, and address concerns. And doing a week is just, it feels like frustrating and flustering. And I know that's probably why some of my other launches weren't as successful. All right, point number 8 is I should have had a free offer or training leading up to it. And this is again one of those things of where people could, tell you like have a free PDF, have a free training, have a webinar, whatever the thing is. But I want to tell you why this little piece is not to do it just because people tell you to do it, but for me, again, all of these lessons are for me, right? Take what resonates with you and leave what doesn't. But I noticed that if I don't have like something to educate people at the beginning, I did Instagram lives. I did a lot of like Instagram lives and like one-on-one coaching. Like I would do free coaching on Instagram, so like that's part of it too. But I definitely want something at the beginning where it's more educational, where people can sign up for a 1-day training or a 3-day training or a mastermind or webinar, like whatever it may be. I want to have people come in and register for this free thing and like get this training, because what I felt is, again, it felt like partially rushed or forced. Like as soon as I launch something, then I'm just expecting people to buy it. But if I have something that's, a training that people can go sign up for, then they're essentially getting everything in that, right? So yes, I'm still going to follow up and talk about it on Instagram and all the things. But I just noticed that if I am launching and like, okay, people buy it now, like that isn't strategic or helpful to me or to them. And so really having something where people can get educated at the beginning, knowing what the offer is, what it feels like, what we'll be covering, really giving them a taste of it instead of just kind of like expecting them to, I guess, read my mind a little bit of what it is. So it's kind of like when you're going on a first date, right? Is that you're not proposing to someone on the first date. You've got to build the connection and build the trust and have multiple dates and connections and touch points and talks and like get to know them, go through some challenges together and grow from them. So I just learned that I can't expect people to buy as soon as I announce something. And so really just building that relationship is part of why it's important to have that at the beginning. And I just wanted you to know that, like, again, focusing on their nurturing um, and building the relationships is one of the things that I'm definitely taking away from this experience. And I would encourage you, if you're not already doing that, to definitely do that too. Okay. All right. For some reason in my notes, I think I skipped number 9 because now I have number 10. So I guess it's 9 lessons I learned, but we can say 10. Okay, cool. All right. So last but not least lesson of what I learned from my most successful launch is it's a numbers game. As much as I don't like to admit it, and I've tried to avoid this truth for my whole business because I tried to be different. I didn't want to believe it, whatever the thing was. I guess there's this idealist part of myself that thinks everybody who shows interest is going to sign up. And I think I think like that because I'm like that. Like I personally would never really show interest unless I'm seriously considering joining it. But I'm not everybody. So I've learned, right, is like I'm not everybody. This is a big lesson for me, and I imagine for some of you, is that yes, you can relate to your people, to your clients, to your audience, to your community, but at the same time you're not them, right? to the people that you're coaching and guiding is maybe you've been out of that too long. And so it's really important to remember like where they're at. And so to really think in their shoes, to put yourself in their shoes. And that's what a great leader does anyway, right? Is you are leading the people, not just expecting them to understand where you're at. You're understanding where they're at, most importantly. So what I mean by it's a numbers game is that there's this thing called a conversion rate. So you guys might already know this, but it's a conversion rate is essentially, right, like it's taking a conversion rate would be like if 100 people are interested in signing up for your course or for your launch or for whatever, like even if 100 people sign up for a free thing, like let's say you're doing a free mastermind or a free webinar or whatever, if 100 people sign up, 100 people sign up for that, maybe only 30 people will sign up. And maybe out of those 30 people that only, so 100 people signed up, 30 people only show up to the live call. And maybe out of those 30 people, maybe you have like 1 to 3 people sign up, right? So out of 100 people that you got interested in something, maybe 1 to 3 of them will sign up. And this is just conversion, right? Is how many people are interested and how many people actually pull the trigger. So like an average conversion rate across just all the whole sales industry, which is pretty generic, which is very broad, but it's about 1%. So of course, that average can be much different based on the product, based on the audience, the price, the industry, what it is, who's selling it, right? There are lots of variables of where it could be more than 1% or less than 1%. But in general, 1% conversion is the average. Some people would say like 2 to 5% is an average too. Either way, it's not a large number, right? Is like between 1 and 5% is the conversion rate you're going to experience. Or even if it's 20% or 30%, like the moral of the story is that it's not 100%, right? It's like you need a lot of people to get interested. And why I'm telling you this is because I've just set myself up for disappointment because I'm like, oh, sweet, 100 people are interested. That means 100 people are going to sign up, or maybe 50 people are going to sign up, right? It's like I'm just really, really getting my hopes up. And that is helpful in the way of like how I show up for people. But at the same time, it's not helpful just based on the mathematics, based on probabilities, like just the law of the universe. Just the reality of it is like you're not going to get everybody to sign up. And I know this is obvious, but I wanted to share it with you guys because for some reason I thought I was better than statistics or I was better than probabilities. And so, yes, you can defy numbers and you can defy logic and you can have a much higher conversion rate. Like I know people who, don't do a lot of promoting on Instagram. They have a really, really engaged email list with maybe a few thousand people and they have a really high conversion rate. So it depends on, how you're doing it and where your audience is, all the things and the relationship that you built with them. But regardless, right, is you're not going to get, even if you have an email list of 3,000 people, not everyone's going to open up your emails. Not everyone who reads the emails is going to sign up or click on the page. Not everyone who clicks on the page is going to sign up. So just remember that there's this whole thing that you can't control. All you can control is like how you show up. And I think I had over 60 people interested in, I definitely had over 60 people interested and 9 people signed up. So that's a 15%, that's 15% conversion. And when I look at it that way, that's actually really good. Like if the average is 2 or 5%, then I tripled like the high. And when I talk to people about that, people are like, damn, Ben, like that's a really, really good conversion rate. So that helps me feel better. And also it helps me realize like, okay, then I've got to, reach more people at the same time or get more people interested. And I know I definitely did my best. And I can truly say I gave everything I had. But yeah, just don't expect everyone to sign up because that would just leave room for a lot of disappointment. And so I'll just leave it there, I guess. Right? It is just like it is a numbers game, as much as I don't like to admit it. All right, y'all. Oh, that was a lot. Actually, I just remembered my last point. So it is 10 things. It's not 9 things. Is talk to people in the Instagram DMs. I used to think that was like there's a trend here too, right, guys, of like I used to think I didn't need to do certain things because I don't want to be like other salespeople, or I didn't want to come off as like I'm manipulating people or whatever is my ego story was telling me. But I started engaging people in Instagram DMs and just having conversations, and that was really helpful. And if you're a coach or if you're just on Instagram in general, you've probably seen people say like, send me a DM saying with the fire emoji, send me a DM saying I'm ready. And then right, people will start to like ask you questions and like engage you in the DMs. And I was reluctant to doing that before because I didn't want to like it's honestly just like a fear of selling and coming off sleazy and selfish or whatever. Thankfully, I've reprogrammed and alchemized that fear because I know like if I'm not engaging in that process, then I'm holding back from, helping people and like holding my gifts from people. Um, so if you guys haven't done that yet, I feel like that's a really useful thing. Not to say that you have to sell people or convince people in the DMs, but just like invite people to have a conversation with you is really helpful just to know like what's getting in their way, what's concerns do they have, what problems have they been facing, is like you really build a connection and learn where they're struggling so you can learn how to help them. And also it really helps you create content around for the like, general audience. Like as soon as this is just another bonus tip, but like whenever I'm working with people like clients, one-on-one clients, or even in this group coaching right now, is that I'm taking notes of what people are struggling with and dealing with, because then I can make content around that, because I know so many other people are dealing with it, right? So if you're not doing that already, like focus on where your clients are struggling, like where you were struggling, what people are DMing you, what people are commenting, maybe not even just on your stuff, but across the board. So that is the bonus tip. Okay, y'all. I told myself I was going to try and keep this short, but I don't think I did. But it's just a part of me that I want to dive deep, and I want to tell you guys all the things because I wish I had someone to tell me about these lessons. So here you are. Here are all the lessons. I hope it can save you a lot of time, or at least some time and some heartache, some disappointment. And I hope it can boost you into some more easeful success and more aligned success. Thank you all for being here. Again, if you haven't already, please subscribe, leave a review, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend. It would mean the world. And get ready for more regular podcast episodes because they are coming. Here we go.